Hey guys, it's Maymay and welcome back to another Cricut Explore video, and today we are exploring with copper sheeting. I am so excited about this project. I have been copper crazy. I'll show you some of the stuff I've done. This is a designer metal sheet and it is made by, who is this made by? Precision Metals, and I found this at Hobby Lobby for $11.99, and I used my coupon on it and I got 40% off of this guy. Now I was just in Hobby Lobby and had this idea, so that's why I purchased it there. I'll try to find a link on Amazon for you guys if you're interested, but you might even could use a 50% off coupon at say Michael's or something like that. But I love it. This comes in a 12 by 30 inch sheet, so you get a good bit of it and you can do a lot with it. Now the first thing I want to show you, well, there's a couple things I want to show you about it first. This is the actual product. It's very thin, so you want to be careful with the edges because you don't want to get cut. I haven't been cut so far, but I can imagine this would make a pretty mean paper cut, right? I know it's a little shiny. I apologize if I'm blinding you. But one thing I want to show you is how simple it cuts. Now this piece is already cut down for the size of my project, so I'm going to move it out of the way and not cut it. But I'm going to show you, this is my rotary trimmer, and this is a piece of the copper. I'm just going to put it in here and cut a little slice off to show you how simple. So I'm just using my rotary. I'm going to press down like I always do for paper, and that's one pass. And now look how easy that cut. It cut just like paper would. Isn't that great? So imagine that in your Cricut Explore, and we're going to show you that today too. Alright, so I want to show you a couple of things first. I went ahead and purchased the score tool. I found this week. Actually, I had this delivered through Amazon. That's right, I did order this through Amazon. Although, after I did that, I did find it at Hobby Lobby, but I already had it at that point. So this is the scoring tool, and what it is basically just a stylus that's made to fit in the Explorer, so it can just press and emboss, basically. So we're going to use that, and I'll show you a little project. Look at this guy. Isn't he adorable? So a Christmas ornament, and you know now I want a whole tree full of copper embellishments. Isn't that great? And I did a couple things to make him a little more obvious with the embossing, and I'll show you how I did that. But that's one piece, and after we finish I'll show you another large piece. So let's go to the Explore. Let's go to Cricut Design Space and get started.
So we are at Cricut Design Space. Now, if you've never been here before, this is www.cricut.com, and you just go to Cricut Design Space and you'll sign in this area. Now, I've already signed in just to save us a little bit of time. Now, as I told you, I have purchased the new scoring tool, or not the new scoring tool. It's new to me because I just got it. But I purchased a scoring tool, and it has opened up a whole new world for me. I'm so excited. So today we are going to engrave some image. I don't know. I've already done a snowman to show you, so let me do something different. Let's look for chalkboard sentiments. I don't remember what's on here. Let's just put in chalkboard and see what we get. So we get some tags, but they're all for purchase. So let's do banner. If my searching takes a little while, I'll cut this out so you don't have to watch it. But this is what I'm going to do. And I just kind of go through here. Now, if you had something you were making a present for somebody, or you kind of knew exactly what you needed your engraving to be, you could just search for that. But I don't know. Ooh, this one's cute. Look, laugh every day. I like that one because we like to laugh around here. Let me look at just a couple more. I'll probably come back and get that one. I don't know why I even look. Once I see one I like, I tend to talk myself out of anything else. But let's just see. See, I'm telling you, let's go back to it. Laugh every day. Okay, I love it. And I'm subscribed to it. It's in my subscription. So I'm going to insert this image. Now, if you're making this, say, as an ornament, you want it to be something small, what I suggest is you just come over here to Insert Shapes and pick out something that is the shape you want, and go ahead and make this the size you want. So I'm going to make this one... let's make it 5 by 7 so I can put it in a small frame. So I'm going to do a 5, and I'm going to unlock the key proportions by clicking that lock, and then change this to 7. And this way I know I want to stay inside these dimensions with my image. If I don't do that, I could get kind of lost and have a really big image on a piece of copper that I can't really use. So you just want to make sure you're making it the right size. Now I'm going to change the color of this because this gray is going to make it hard for me to see what I'm doing. So I'm just going to change it to white just for kicks and giggles. That's it. All right, I'm going to unlock this key proportions, and this way I can move the width and the height separately. Okay, if you leave that locked, everything moves together. Notice how when I came over here it went behind. No worries. Just go right up here to arrange and tell it to move this guy to the front. and it'll come right to the front of your project. Now I'm going to put this over here. Oops, I grabbed the wrong thing. I'm going to grab the image and move it over and see what size I can make it to fit in there. I don't want it to look disproportional, so we're gonna, is that a word, disproportionate? I don't know which one is the word. So that's about what I want it to look like. Now I need this to become a scored image. At this point, if you look over here to the image, you'll see there's a pair of scissors beside it, and that means it is a cut image, and I don't want it to cut. So I'm gonna come out here and I'm gonna click on that image by just clicking on the bar, or you can go over here and actually click on the image. Now I'm going to click on that pair of scissors and tell it I want it to score this. And when I do this, it turns into dash lines. You see that? Now the next thing I want to do is, it really depends on what you're going to do with your copper. With this, I could go ahead and just cut out a 5x7 piece and I'd be fine. I wouldn't have to have any cutting done. Or if you want the Cricut to cut your copper, which it cuts very well by the way, you would take this image, hold down the shift button and grab your rectangle behind it and attach these two together. Now by doing that, it becomes a scored project in the middle and a cut project on the outside. And I'm going to do that so that you guys can see it cut and score, because I think it's amazing how well it does this material. So basically we're ready to go. That's how simple that is. So I'm going to go up here and click go. And you can see that it will cut and score at the very same time. Now I noticed something I didn't do that I want to go back and fix, so I'm glad I saw this. This is not centered. I can see that it's off. So I'm going to X out of here and tell it to go back. And now I'm going to come back and unattach this, or detach it. You see that? I'm going to detach it. Now I'm going to grab both pieces by clicking on the center, holding down shift and hitting the rectangle, or by simply taking my cursor in the top corner, holding down my mouse button and grabbing both like this. You can do that either way. Now I'm going to go to Align, which is my new favorite button. I love having these options here. And here you'll notice that this is a center vertically and horizontally. So I want to do that. I want to click center. I should have done that before. I just didn't think about it. Now I already have everything selected at the same time. We have both of them selected at this point. So I'm just going to go back and reattach them. And now we're ready to go, because now it will be centered. I did not want that to be off center. I would have been sad. So now it looks much better here. So now I just need to load my material in the machine and we can get going.
So before we go to the machine itself for the cutting part, I want to show you how I load this on my mat. I'm trying very hard not to crease it, because if you crease it, you will get a line in it that may or may not come out. But here's what I do. I just use my regular old mat, and I just put this guy in the corner where it's just like I was loading paper. That's how I treat it, just like paper. But the one thing I do different is I treat it kind of like I do vinyl. If you've ever seen one of my vinyl videos, I use this brayer constantly. And I found that it really helps to stick this down to the mat really well. And if there are any bends or creases, I've also noticed that it kind of works them out. Now one thing it will do is it will pick up anything underneath. You'll kind of have those little dots coming through, but that doesn't bother me because I like kind of the rustic look. So I'm perfectly okay with that. Alright, so now we're ready to take our stylus and this guy to the machine and cut. So now it's telling me to load my material. So I'm going to take the copper sheeting on my mat and load that. And before I forget, I want to load my stylus, but I want to show you what you do. You take your stylus, you put it into the carriage, and you hold the base up just to give it some support with one finger and press with the other. And it just clicks into place, and then close that little carriage housing to lock it in. So now the machine is ready to go, and I'm going to tell it to go by clicking this little button. I'm going to let you guys watch it because I think it's super cool. We'll watch a little while. I'm going to zoom you in. Can you see that embossing? I think that is so neat. Now I also want to tell you that I tried putting a piece of foam behind this to kind of get a deeper embed. It did not work. These little pieces here that help to hold everything into place left an indentation. So as long as I don't put a pad underneath it, which I tried to use fun foam, it just didn't work. As long as I leave it flat on the mat, I get a nice impression, and those little these little guides don't leave a mark. Now you'll see that it's going to change to the blade, and it's going to cut that square that we had out of my material. So I made my material a little bit bigger. I probably wouldn't have done that because it's going to be a little bit wasteful, but I wanted you to see how simple it is to cut in the Cricut. I am amazed by how easy it cuts.
just like butter. All right, guys, that's it. I'm going to unload it, and I'll see you back at the table. So this is it on the mat after it has been embossed and it has cut. And I want to show you how I remove it. You want to be careful not to do it like you do paper and just kind of pull. Because you know how when you pull paper you can get that crease? You don't want to do that. Here's what I do. I kind of roll my mat kind of in a circle and let it kind of release on its own. And it'll start to lift up on one side and just rock it back and forth. As long as I'm not creasing it, I'm in good shape. Then you can kind of just get your finger under it and work it around that circular shape. You see I'm putting my fingers under there and squeezing in more. Now be careful not to crack your mat doing this, but this is the best way I found to get it off of there because I do not want it to bend. Check it out. Love this. Now I have this little piece left. I could probably use that as an embellishment somewhere, but I want to show you what happens if you just pull. If you just pull it off, it kind of does this. So you want to avoid that. That's why you want to do that rocking motion. All right. I also want to show you this. See how it's still a little bit lifted and kind of a little not flat? I can take the brayer, even though it has been embossed, and I can flatten it out with that brayer. Now I'm not pressing really hard, just giving a good firm rollover to kind of flatten that out. Isn't that cool? Now let's make it really look good by aging it. So I put some wax paper underneath here, and I've tried a couple of methods for distressing it or aging it. One thing you can do, this is a copper product, so I'm sure if this is 0.003 thick 40 gauge copper. So I'm sure if you had some of those, what's it called? Patina materials, like those chemicals that give it that natural patina, I'm sure you could do that. But I'm going to use what I've got. And I went to, this is a Stays On re-inker that I have, and it's an opaque black color. And I just thought, I'm going to try it. So what I've done is I have a bottle of alcohol here. I have a very, very old dauber. This one's really beat up, pretty bad shape. I'm going to use it. And then I have this re-inker. So what I do, and this is just my method. I even tried this with acrylic paint, and I'll show you. It's all right. It's not my favorite. But I just put some of this on here and kind of make myself a Stays On dabber. I tried using it straight from my ink pad, but my ink pad's not wet enough, I don't think. I think it could have been a little wetter. And here's what you do. Take this and rub it all over the surface. And make sure you're getting it into those cracks and crevices. That's really where you want this to be, is down in those creases. And I go ahead and work it all the way around the copper because it's going to kind of distress it. Just work it everywhere. You're going to get it on your fingers. That's what alcohol's for. So make sure you got it down in those words, in those little embossed places. And now take your alcohol and some sort of cleaning cloth. You could probably use paper towels, but I use these things over and over. I don't like to use 1,500 paper towels, so I use these, and I can just wash it and use it later. Now check this out. Very lightly run across the surface with the alcohol on your towel, very lightly. Because you're not trying to wipe it out of there, you're just trying to wipe it off the surface. It just makes it look really good. Now it's starting to dry, and I have noticed that you do have to keep your alcohol pretty saturated on your towel. So I'm just going to pick up some more alcohol and rub again, and that will pick it up. Now, do this to your heart's content. If you want it really, really shiny copper outside those letters, just take your time and wipe this away, you know, multiple times. I'm not as picky about getting all of it off of the outside. I kind of like the kind of oxidized look. So I'm going to go like that for now, and then I'm just going to take another piece that's dry and just kind of buff and see what will come off by buffing. Okay, and you see I got some off. Now I'm going to get a little more alcohol here on a clean part of the rag. I have noticed if you go back over the same spot, you kind of reactivate the ink, and that's not what you want to do. And then I'm just going to lightly go at it again and just clean off as much of that as I want to. But not pressing into those creases. So I want that ink to stay in those creases. Now once it becomes work to get it off, you need to add more alcohol, because if you scrub too much, it'll come out.
So now, and I don't know how well you can see that on camera, now I have the dark in those letters in person that really makes them pop. Okay, so here's our piece done, and now I'm going to show you how I'm going to cheat the system a little bit. I want it to look like it's kind of riveted to a board, but I don't really have the rivets, and I do have a board, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my Crocodile, and I'm going to use the smallest hole, and I'm going to come down here to the corner, just being real careful with it, and poke a hole in the corner. Just like, let me hold it better, because I'm a shaker. Just up in there a little bit, because I want my brads to clear, like to actually be on here. And I'm going to use brads to make it look like a rivet. I have these brads that are from Bo Bunny that are kind of copper colored, and I just think they'll be so pretty, and I'm just going to actually use them as brads on the back side. Now my brad is poking out a little bit, so I'm going to take my scissors and cut some of that brad tail off. I'm closing my eyes while I do this so it doesn't get in my eyes. You could also wear some safety glasses when you do that. Then I'm just going to press it nice and flat so I get that brad look. I think that looks really cool. Okay, now I'm going to take my brayer one more time since I've been messing with it so much and just kind of hit it again just to kind of get it to flatten out again, because I kind of picked it up and moved it around, and that kind of sits it down nice. And now I'm really going to cheat it. Check this out. I'm going to flip it over. And I'm going to use my sticky tape. Now you guys may have seen that I love this sticky tape, and it is strong enough to do fabric. It is definitely strong enough to hold this down to my little piece of wood. So I'm going to put this on here. And I get this from Punch Place Plus. I'll put a link below. This is the stickiest, the best tape I have ever used. I'm not worried about this coming off because it will stay on. So I have my little board here that I'll be placing this on, and it's just going to go down like just like this on this little blackboard. So I'm going to peel this off the back, the adhesive backer off, just like I do when it's paper, and it will do exactly the same thing. Alright, now we're going to place it where we want it onto our board, just like so. You could measure this out if you want to. I'm the queen of eyeballing everything. Move this over. I'm going to start in the center and press down and then work my way out. Pressing that down onto the wood. I'm going to come in with my bone folder and just kind of rub a little bit, barely rubbing. I don't want to leave any like creasing marks, but I want to get that down all the way around. So I'm just barely pressing here, just to get that to stick everywhere I put that adhesive. Especially these corners, I want them to lay flat. Now I just have a little wet wipe, and I'm just going to kind of wipe over it just as a final wipe to get anything that might have been on my fingers, like fingerprints or anything like that, off. And then one more brush over with a dry cloth. And there you go. Look at that. Can you imagine this as a gift for like newlyweds, where you put their name and the date and all that kind of stuff on there, and then they have this to hang in their home? I think this is beautiful. Let me show you one more piece I made. So this is another one that I did, and it's kind of hard to see because it's too big for the screen, but you can see that it says here, Music Soothes the Soul. This is from the Cricut. This is just from Design Space. This is a music stand from Design Space, and then I just put some little swirly edges around the bottom and the top, and then I inked it with that Stays On just like I did before. Pretty cool, huh? Now the only thing I did different in this one, I put it on a canvas that I painted turquoise, and this is a little mat board behind it just to kind of give it some definition from the canvas. And these little pieces here I got from my friend Gareth. He has a little Facebook store where he sells metal embellishments. It's actually called Gareth's Metal Embellishment Emporium, and these just really set it off. They're copper in color, so they really drug the copper out to the edges, and I love how those look. I'll put pictures of this hanging on the wall so you can see it. So there's this one. We have our little snowman ornament, which I think is adorable. He just needs some ribbon and some little embellishments. And then, of course, the one we made together. I hope it's not too glary for you guys. I'm sure it has been a pretty good glare most of the time. I apologize for that. But I just think this would make a great gift or just a great way to decorate in your home if you love copper, which is a huge thing right now. So check the links below for any of the products that I use that I can find to link for you. And I hope you enjoyed it. I'll talk to you soon, guys. Bye-bye.